Because earlier today we asked 1,000 adults on our Morg smartphone panel the following question. Would you favour increased restrictions on unvaccinated people? Let's take a look at the results now. So there you see it. 69% say yes, they would favour increased restrictions. 24% say no, and 7% don't know. We're going to talk to immunologist Professor Christine Losher very shortly, but first we're joined from Cork by Joe O'Shea. Joe, you're in the 69%. More restrictions for unvaccinated people, you say. Why?
Because the vaccines are our only, at the moment, safe route, possible route out of a global pandemic. It's been 19 months. People want to get back to normal. We have 370,000 people in this country who are still unvaccinated. Now, the Irish Pharmacy Union reckons about half of these are probably anti-vaxxers. We have to start making life as uncomfortable or as complicated for them as they apparently want to make life for us for month after month after month going forward. So what you look at is mandates like they're introducing in France, like they have introduced in France, like they've introduced in Italy, that they will be introducing in the US very shortly, where, for instance, you have to have a vaccine cert to go into a workplace. That's public and private sector. Where you keep the vaccine certs for hospitality, for people who want to go into cinemas, who want to use amenities, public spaces. We have to start compelling people, because a lot of them seem to think that because it's not affecting me directly, because maybe I'm young or maybe I'm healthy, or maybe I believe some post that I've seen on Facebook saying Bill Gates wants me to get vaccinated so he can turn me into a robot, that we have to start making their lives complicated as well.
OK, you sound really angry with people who have decided not to get vaccinated for whatever reason that might be, that they've made that decision.
Yeah, I am angry, and I think people are angry because we want to get out of this. We want our lives back. We want to get back to normality. We want to work again. We want to see people again. We want to have a Christmas that we're not talking about vaccination rates or infection rates, but we're actually talking about our Christmas plans and meeting our loved ones. We want our families to be protected. We want our communities to be protected. And that's why there are no scientific arguments to be made for not getting vaccinated. I'm not a virologist, but the anti-vaxxers aren't virologists either. There's no debate, because you can't debate somebody who believes in a religious belief, almost a cult-like thing of, well, I'm just not going to get vaccinated, and I'm not going to listen to my doctor. I'm not going to listen to the overwhelming evidence and opinion of the world's leading scientists. You can't debate with them. At this stage, we're talking about almost hardcore cranks.
Yeah, but you're talking, Joe, then about forcing people to take a vaccine if they have decided, as they have a right to decide. They've a right to decide. Look, I don't want to take this for whatever reason.
Yeah, they have a right. They have a right to decide, and if they want to lock themselves out of society because they will not live up to the responsibilities that they should be facing, then yeah, they have a right to decide that. You can't force people. Nobody's talking about forcing people to take vaccines, marching them down to health centres, but you can compel people, or you can let them know that if that is the decision you take, then unfortunately we cannot have you in our spaces. We cannot have you with the risk that you pose to our society, to our people, to our loved ones. It's not forcing, but it is definitely compelling.
Christine saying that, if you sit down and explain, I think what you're saying is you're seeing results from engagement. And as you say, there's about 150,000 people, according to the IPU, who may be convincible.
Yeah. Yeah, she makes a very good point, especially with groups like pregnant women, especially with groups like young people. But there is also a hardcore of people as well. And unfortunately, they're the loudest people, and they're very loud in social media. They're very loud in our streets. What we have seen in France especially is that workplace mandates have worked. In France, after Macron brought in these laws, and they were very, very strict, and they were very, very resisted as well by the media, by our politicians and by the public, the rate of vaccination went up significantly. So it definitely try and persuade, definitely engage. There are people with real concerns, of course they are. But we also have to start being a bit more serious as well about who we allow to be in our spaces if we're ever going to escape this pandemic. 50,000 new cases in the UK today, 50,000 in one day. We don't want to mess around with this.
What about mandatory vaccination, Joe?
No, I don't think anybody is seriously suggesting that, and I don't think it would be possible. I don't think it would be feasible. No, you can't force people.
Yeah,
what
but you
I'm
say
saying
that.
Is, it's not.
Can I just bring you the results of our poll on that? Because we asked 1,000 adults on our Morg smartphone panel the question, are you in favour of mandatory vaccination against COVID-19? Have a look at this. 46% say yes, 42% say no, and 12% don't know. So Joe, it's a sizable figure. I mean, 46% of the 1,000 people saying, yeah, mandatory.
I'm actually shocked by that figure, to be honest with you, because I can't see, and how that would be possible. I don't think that's a road that we want to go down. I don't think any country in the world is thinking of going down that road.
I thought you'd be in favour of it, given what you said earlier on.
No, I'm in favour of, if people want to decide, then they decide to lock themselves out effectively of public life. That's what they're deciding to do. Okay. So I don't think you can forcibly vaccinate people. And of course, we're talking about people who have already taken 10 or 11, 12 vaccinations in their lives to date and didn't have to do all the research on that. And if they cut their hand open on a rusty nail tomorrow and were offered a tetanus shot, they wouldn't be asking to do the research on that either. You can persuade some people, but there will be a hardcore of people who for their own willful ignorance will not be persuaded. So what we can do now, what is happening, we're seeing around the world, is effectively saying, OK, but you cannot be in our public spaces. You cannot be in our lives.
Christine, I want to ask you about boosting